Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the insane recoil reductions on most of the optical attachments in the game. This is one of the biggest, most game-changingest things that I have found in a long time, and it is definitely going to shake up the entire Black Ops 3 meta. However, I was not the first person to discover it, so huge shout out to Exclusive Ace. He noticed this first. Obviously, the data comes from Marvel 4, but he made a video about it on his channel, which legit blew my mind, and it didn't spread nearly as far as it should have in the Call of Duty community, because this is going to change up almost all of your classes. So I linked him first down there in the description. Huge shout out to Ace, runs a fantastic channel, deserves more subs. But anyway, back on topic. In the most recent update, there was a stealth buff to several of the optical attachments in Black Ops 3, about half of them as a matter of fact. So now the BOA, Varix, Recon, and thermal sights all reduce recoil, and they all reduce recoil very, very significantly. The BOA 3 sight will give you 10% extra center speed, which we've done this many times on the channel, but if you're unfamiliar with it, that's how fast your optics come back down to rest, even during fully automatic fire, so that is like, it's basically like getting 10% less recoil. The Varix, Recon, and thermal sights all have the exact same plus 10% center speed, but they also have a 0.15 recoil reduction, which is double that of the FOREGRIP. So literally just running the Varix sight, it's like putting 2 FOREGRIPs on your gun and a center speed reduction, which the FOREGRIP doesn't do, so it is an insane reduction in recoil. However, you should know that the FOREGRIP overrides the recoil reduction for both the Recon and Varix 3, so you cannot stack the FOREGRIP with the Recon or the Varix. However, you can stack the grip with the BOA sight and make it extremely useful, and the thermal as well. So FOREGRIP stacks with BOA 3 and thermal, not with Recon and Varix. So you're probably saying to yourself, okay, that's a ton of numbers, what does this mean? Well, let me show you. Here's some recoil tests that I did in Nuketown. This is a standard VMP with no attachments whatsoever, and despite the fact that it's easy to control, you can see how high it kicks up. However, when I run the Varix 3, look at the colossal difference that makes. That is just night and day right there. That is almost no comparison. Look how... That's madness to me, just how effective that is. That means if I wanted to, the Varix might actually be one of the best attachments for this submachine gun, or really even anyone. You could run the Varix on something like the Vesper, and that's not me screwing with it, that's not me dragging to the right, that's its natural recoil, but then look what it does with the Varix sight. Way, way better in every single test. I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens when I run the BOA 3 as well. Now, the BOA is not as crazy. I think I'm actually running BOA and FOREGRIP because that's how I'm going to end up recommending it later on, since they do stack. That's the base weapon again. And now look at this one. You can't tell me that's not a massive improvement right there, just night and day as well. And I think the Varix really lends itself better to high recoil assault rifles, something like, say, maybe the Man of War. Now, the Man of War shoots slow and it mostly kicks up, so it's easy to control, but very few people would tell me that it's actually a low recoil assault rifle. However, when you run the Varix, look at that. That is... Come on, it's almost silly how much it just improved. It's like night and day once again. Just wanted to show you these tests because I didn't believe it either. When I first saw this on Ace's channel, I literally didn't believe it, and I've already updated all of my classes to reflect these changes because these changes are massive enough to where these sights now vastly outshine all of the others. I'm going to go ahead and show you one more test here before I bounce back to that regular old Black Ops 3 gameplay. So given this data, the Varix sight is now the best optical attachment in the entire game. Just pretty much hands down. The Varix is now amazing. I think it's a little bit better than the Recon because you can still zoom it out and use it at that level of zoom, and it naturally has some sort of gun shake reduction to it. But running the Varix sight is like running 2 FOREGRIPs, maybe even 3 FOREGRIPs to be honest with you, and the BOA sight is a close second. The BOA sight now is basically like a red dot sight that also reduces recoil, and it'll turn red if enemies pop up somewhere in your screen. It's not a target finder per se, but it does help a little bit. I don't think the BOA sight is as clear as a red dot sight or an ELO sight, and the dot is a little bit larger than those, but you can't argue with that level of recoil reduction. It makes it extremely useful, and I think that this fact can be used to save you several attachment slots or even a wild card. For instance, I advocate this HVK 30 rushing class all the time, and instead of running FOREGRIP on it, I now just run the BOA sight instead because it gives me an optical attachment attachment and it's just as good. But what's really crazy here is a lot of people want to run guns like, say, the Man-O-War, and you need foregrip, and you want long barrel, and you want all these other attachments. Now you can drop foregrip and just run an optical attachment, and it'll be just as useful, if not more useful, and maybe save you a wildcard spot that you can put toward more grenades or a secondary or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I've literally updated all of my classes. Red Dot and Elos are gone. I'm running all BOAs and Varix sights, maybe a Recon and a Thermal here and there to reflect this fact, because it's free recoil reduction, and there's no reason that I'm not going to use that. And I would highly recommend the BOA or Varix sight for both competitive and pubs. I know not all the competitive guys like to take my advice, and they run a very different meta, but at least the BOA is going to be extremely useful because it's like a free foregrip, and it is fantastic. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.